Discovered, Millionaire'S Heartless Challenge exposes hidden talent of Black Maid who danced to dreams. Clara Thompson stood in the kitchen of a sprawling mansion, scrubbing floors that glimmered like diamonds under the midday sun. Every swipe of her cloth was a reminder of her dreams buried beneath the weight of bills, school lunches, and the laughter of her two children, Maya and Jordan. In the background, music played softly, a lullaby of distant parties where the elite waltzed in glamorous gowns, unaware of the lives hidden behind their white picket fences. Maya, with her sparkling eyes and unquenchable spirit, bounced into the room, dragging Clara into her world of endless imagination. "Mom, you should dance," she'd exclaimed, dancing wildly, arms flailing, oblivious to the scrubbing brush in her mother's hand. Clara laughed, but her heart ached. Dance had once been her joy, a connection to the spirit of her mother, who would sway with grace as they twirled together in their small living room. But life had dictated other paths. Clara stiffened when Harold Kingsley declared his talent competition, the cash prize capable of transforming lives. The headlines screamed about millionaires exploiting the working class. "This isn't a fairy tale, sweetheart," Clara had whispered, the weight of their reality pressing down like a heavy cloak. And yet, a small thrill sparked within her. Every night, when the world fell asleep, Clara transformed their living room into her secret stage. Darkness cloaked her fears, while only the flickering light of a single lamp illuminated her movements. Her body moved to the rhythm of songs that evoked memories of family gatherings filled with laughter and love. Tears streamed down her cheeks. She danced for her parents, for her children, and most of all, for the daughter who believed in her. As Clara practiced, whispers from some of the wealthy competitors danced through her mind. Their laughter, condescending and sharp, reminded her of the stigma that trailed behind her. She could hear them saying, "A maid? Dancing? How quaint." But every night, with Maya's words ringing in her heart, Clara cast off those judgments, hoping for something more: freedom, acceptance, and a chance to prove herself. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the night of the audition drawing closer, Clara's heart raced. Underneath the harsh stage lights, she would stand at the edge of two worlds with the curtain about to rise. All eyes would be on her. Would the community rally around her, or would the elite's judgment smother her spark? It was a moment of reckoning, a life defined. As music enveloped her, Clara took a deep breath, feeling the energy shift. This was her chance, but the fear gripped her, a vice tightening around her chest. The whispers faded into the background, and with each step she took, she fought to honor her history, her passion, and her two children watching from beyond the audience. This was the moment her journey shifted gears, and she would either crumble under their gaze or rise, dancing her truth into the night. The crowd held its breath, and Clara stood poised, a single heartbeat between dreams and reality. What would she choose to show the world? Clara's heart hammered in her chest as she stood backstage, the heavy drapes of the curtain whispering around her. Each swell of the music felt like a tide that surged and pulled against her, urging her to step forward into the light. This was her moment, the culmination of countless nights spent dancing alone in their living room, the laughter of her children echoing as encouragement through every spin and leap. She glanced down at her well-worn shoes, feet that had spent so many hours moving silently across the mansion's floors. Clara took a deep breath, letting the oxygen fill her lungs. With each exhale, she released a bit of her fear. She closed her eyes, picturing Maya's bright smile and the way Jordan's little hands clapped in delight whenever she danced for them. Their joy became her strength. When the announcer's voice boomed through the speakers, Clara felt the world shift. "Next up, we have Clara Thompson." The crowd erupted in a mix of applause and whispers. Clara opened her eyes, her heart lurching at the sight of faces, some curious, some skeptical, others dismissive. These were the people she had feared, whose judgments often felt heavier than the weight of her dreams. But they didn't see what she saw. They didn't know the hours she had spent dreaming while mopping up spills or the endless nights of moving to the rhythm of hope in a space cluttered with obligation. This moment was about more than performing, it was about telling her story. As she stepped onto the stage, the spotlight washed over her, warm and bright, enveloping her like a comforting embrace. The music pulsed through the air, a lively melody that echoed her spirit. Clara smiled, a genuine smile that sparked a glimmer of defiance in her eyes. She began to dance. Every move was an act of rebellion against the constraints life had placed on her. She spun and twirled, her body remembering the freedom it longed for. Her feet found the rhythm, tapping against the wooden floor like a heartbeat that echoed the very essence of who she was. She danced for her dreams, for all the dreams of those who dared to dream but felt too small to pursue them. The crowd shifted. Clara saw heads nodding, feet tapping along with the beat. The whispers were fading, replaced with gasps and cheers that swelled around her like a rising tide. She lost herself in the dance, pouring her soul into each movement, letting the energy surge through her veins. But then, in the middle of a particularly daring spin, she caught sight of a familiar face, Harold Kingsley. He sat front and center, his expression unreadable. Suddenly, doubt crept in, a shadow threatening to snuff out the light she had ignited. Clara faltered for a moment. Was this really enough? A quick glance backstage and the cheering audience reminded her of why she was here. She was not just dancing for herself, she was dancing for every person who had ever felt overlooked, for every mother who carried the weight of their family's dreams. She took a breath, pushed the doubt aside, and let the music cradle her into her final act. With one last leap, she soared higher than she thought possible, her heart aligned with her aspirations. As Clara landed, the crowd exploded into applause. Their energy washed over her like a warm blanket. Yet, even amidst the applause, a sense of uncertainty loomed in the back of her mind. Had she truly shown them who she was? Feeling the adrenaline taper, Clara took a step back, breathless and adrenaline-fueled. The applause was echoing in her ears, yet as she scanned the crowd, she searched for a sign of acceptance, and just then, she caught Harold's gaze, a flicker of intrigue reflected in his eyes. What would he think now? Could he see her, truly see her? The thought sent a wave of adrenaline through her. This was just the beginning, their eyes would be watching her closely as the competition continued. What would she do if they didn't understand? With a heart full of hope and uncertainty, Clara stepped off the stage, aware that this was more than just a performance. It was a call to change, a chance to redefine her identity, but the question lingered, would she find the courage to continue dancing her truth, even when the world didn't see her value? Clara stepped off the stage, the adrenaline still coursing through her veins like wildfire. The applause faded into a pleasant hum in her ears, but inside, she battled a whirlwind of emotions. As the curtain closed behind her, she felt the weight of judgment pressing down. Would she ever be enough for them? Harold's gaze lingered in her mind. She had seen it before, the skeptical eyebrow raised, the tight mouth that signaled disapproval. What if he characterized her performance as a fluke? A fleeting moment of inspiration that didn't reflect her true capabilities? In the dimly lit hallway backstage, she ran her fingers through her hair, shaking off the tremors of doubt. It was time to refocus. She had danced her truth, but now she needed to step into her story fully. What was her next move? Maya rushed into view, her tiny frame bursting with energy. "Mommy! You were amazing!" Her brown eyes sparkled with uncontained joy. Jordan followed closely behind, bouncing on the balls of his feet. Clara knelt down, enveloping them both in a tight hug. Their innocent enthusiasm wove threads of hope into her heart. "Did you really like it? Did I make you proud?" Clara asked, searching their faces for affirmation. "Proud? You were like a butterfly. A real princess," Maya exclaimed, twirling around the cramped space. "Yeah. And you jumped higher than the ceiling," Jordan shouted, his small fists pumping in excitement. Clara felt a smile bloom across her face. This was the joy she had longed for, not just for herself but for them. But just as quickly, uncertainty returned. What would happen when they left the safety of this moment? Would their opinions of her change, too? From the corner of her eye, Clara caught a glimpse of Harold as he walked past, speaking with the event organizers. She felt her heart race again, this time not from the performance, but from the thought of what he might say. Would he cast a shadow over her fleeting victory? Maya tugged at her shirt, pulling her back from her thoughts. "Are you okay, Mommy?" "Yes, sweet pea. I'm okay." She forced a smile, even though anxiety twisted in her gut. "Just thinking about what comes next." "Next? But you gotta keep dancing," she said, her voice bubbling with excitement. Clara nodded, already plotting the next steps in her mind. She had to embrace this opportunity, this burst of rebirth. She'd start small, more local events, maybe even classes. But more than that, she needed to confront the fear. Later, as the crowd dispersed, Clara lingered at the edge of the stage, watching as people filed out, many still buzzing about her performance. She took a deep breath, feeling grounded again. Then, a thought struck her with sudden clarity. What if she reached out to Harold? A part of her recoiled at the idea, but another part, stronger and more daring, insisted it was time to confront her fears head-on. Just as she made her decision, the announcer's voice echoed again throughout the venue. "We'd like to invite our performers to the center stage for a meet and greet." Clara's heart raced. This was her chance. Would she rise to the occasion or let this moment slip away just as she had nearly let her performance fall to doubt? As she walked towards the center of the stage, her feet felt lighter, the earlier worries dissipating like the remnants of a storm. She caught Harold's eye once more, and this time, he looked intrigued, maybe even impressed. Could she truly capture his attention and perhaps turn the tide on the perception that had shadowed her for so long? With renewed determination, Clara raised her chin high and stepped into the light once again. Just then, she noticed a woman in the crowd, whispering something to her companion and pointing toward Clara. What if the opportunity she sought was not just about self-acceptance, but about something that could change everything? As the murmurs swelled around her, Clara felt the thrill of uncertainty wrap around her. Could this moment lead to something much bigger than she dared to dream? She took a deep breath, ready to face whatever the night held in store. But as Harold moved toward her, she saw something in his eyes, the sharp glint of both challenge and opportunity. What lay ahead would determine not just her fate, but the very future she dared to envision for herself and her children. What was he really thinking? And what challenge would he propose this time? Clara stood at the center of the stage, heart pounding. The audience's whispers melded into a single murmur, the anticipation hanging thick in the air. All eyes focused on her, and in those moments, she felt exposed, almost vulnerable. She could sense Harold's presence approaching, his expression unreadable but charged with an electric tension. "Clara," he called, his voice clear amid the din, "you caught everyone's attention tonight." Her stomach twisted. "Thank you," she managed, forcing her voice steady though the tremor in her hand betrayed her nerves. "You know," he leaned in slightly, a hint of an inquisitive smile teasing the corners of his lips, "I've seen many performances, but yours, it stood out." A flicker of surprise washed over her. Was this validation or merely politeness? "But what if," he continued, "you stepped out of your comfort zone? A challenge could bring out something even more amazing in you." "What kind of challenge?" Clara asked, curiosity igniting a flicker of hope within her. He straightened, his demeanor shifting slightly. "A charity event we're hosting next month. I want you to perform a solo piece, but there's a twist. You'll be competing against other local talents." The idea pinged around her mind, bouncing off the walls of her uncertainty. Competing? Against others? Yes. It's not just about showcasing talent but also pushing yourself. It could change how you view your dancing and yourself. Clara considered it. On one hand, the fear of judgment loomed large. She had thought tonight's performance was a new beginning, and now Harold's proposition felt like an enormous leap into the unknown. Could she really shine in such a spotlight? Are you up for it? He urged, leaning in closer, and his intensity sent her heart racing. She hesitated, envisioning the faces of the other dancers, perfect and poised. What if she failed? What if she simply wasn't enough? But then she remembered Maya's twirling enthusiasm, Jordan's exuberant cheers. They believed in her. Their innocent belief felt like a lifeline, pulling her back from the edge of doubt. I'll do it, she said, surprising even herself. Good, Harold said, satisfaction evident in his voice. We'll help you prepare. You just need to embrace who you are and let that shine. As he walked away, she felt exhilaration bubbling up within her. This was more than a dance, this was a chance to turn her fear into fuel, to weave her story into the fabric of something larger, yet the doubt still lingered, shadows whispering in her ear. What if she couldn't overcome the competition? Was this truly the opportunity she had dreamed of, or just another setup for failure? At home, Maya jumped up and down, thrilled by her mother's decision, unaware of the internal battle brewing within Clara. Jordan grinned as he insisted they practice together. The moment they shared filled Clara's heart with warmth, but the voice in her head still murmured darkly, you could lose everything if you don't succeed. Days passed, filled with both excitement and anxiety. Clara enrolled in a local dance studio, surrounding herself with other dancers, each step a reminder of her own vulnerability. The instructors pushed her, but what surprised her most was the camaraderie. Slowly, she began to nurture new friendships, venturing beyond isolation, but one evening, as she practiced in front of the mirror, Harold unexpectedly appeared at the studio. You're growing, he said, an encouraging grin lighting up his face. But don't underestimate the challenge ahead. She met his eyes, reading the weight of expectation behind them. The stakes were higher than just her fear. Now, she carried the hopes of her children, the weight of her own dreams, and the looming doubt of a future yet to be defined. As Clara finished her practice, pushing through the final routine, she felt the exhilarating thrill of possibility. Yet, the day of the competition loomed like a thundercloud. Was she prepared to take her biggest risk yet? With the final performance just around the corner, Clara had no choice but to face the truth in her heart. The moment of revelation was approaching. Would she be ready to uncover the hidden talent within herself, or would fear hold her back in silence? The sound of music filled Clara's mind as she lay in bed, restless and wide awake. The competition was just days away, and the thought of it churned her stomach like a storm. She could practically hear the applause from the crowd, feel their eyes on her, and yet all she felt was the cold grip of fear. Each morning turned into a ritual of practice, and every practice felt like a step into the unknown. As she twirled and leaped, her body responded less out of instinct and more out of sheer will. But each successful move was met with a shadow of doubt. What if it was not enough? What if the tentative spark she felt within could never become something brighter? The night before the competition, she stood in front of the mirror, adorned in her dancing attire. The fabric clung to her frame, and she forced a smile. It looked good. But behind that smile was a tremor of uncertainty. She had come so far, yet all she could focus on were the imperfections she'd yet to perfect, the edges she still needed to smooth out. Mom! You look amazing! Maya chirped, her eyes sparkling as she adjusted Clara's hair. The little girl's excitement was contagious, yet Clara couldn't shake the tightening in her chest. Thanks, sweetheart, Clara whispered, needing to summon every ounce of positivity for both of them. How could she tell Maya about the fear that loomed like a dark cloud? Jordan entered, his arms laden with cards and decorations from his latest school project. Can I make a sign for you? He asked, bouncing on his heels. Sure. Clara replied, grateful for the distraction. They all sat at the kitchen table, the sound of laughter mingling with the rustle of colored paper. For a brief moment, the weight of the competition drifted away. This little haven felt like a protective bubble, a reminder of what she cherished most. As the children finished their sign, Clara began to feel the flicker of determination return. She could do this. The next day, the the studio bustled with nervous energy. Clara stretched alongside other dancers, each one exuding confidence, a stark contrast to her rumbling stomach. The atmosphere was thick with exhilaration and anxiety. She watched as familiar faces walked past, bulked with talent and training. Would her humble beginnings be enough? When it was her time to step onto the stage, the spotlight felt blinding, a harsh reminder of what she was about to face. Clara stood in front of the audience, her heart racing, hands trembling but resolute. Then she spotted Harold, his encouraging nod giving her a boost. Perhaps this moment wasn't just about winning. Perhaps it was a chance to defy her own doubts, to transform. In that instant, the crackling fear receded, making way for fire and unquenchable urge to dance. When the music started, she closed her eyes and let it guide her. Step after step, she poured her soul into the performance. With every turn, she felt the energy building inside her, reaching peaks she never dreamed possible. This was more than competition, it was liberation, a fierce reclaiming of her identity. The rhythm pulsed through her veins, drowning out those pesky voices that whispered lies of inadequacy. Clara was lost in another world, twirling and leaping with newfound freedom. She could feel the audience's energy shift, a wave of connection stretching out toward her. But as she concluded her final move, the thunderous applause collided with her brief moment of bliss, reminding her that this wasn't just about dancing. It was about proving herself. Just as she smiled, buoyed by the cheers, a sharp pang of anxiety flicked back, bringing her crashing back to reality. What if it wasn't enough? Had she truly captured the audience's heart, or would they leave feeling indifferent? The results were to be announced shortly, and the crowd buzzed with anticipation, a buzzing overture to her fate. Would she revel in victory or drown in despair? As the moment approached, Clara's heart thundered in her chest. What awaited her on the other side of the curtain? Clara stood backstage, the air thick with tension. She could hear snippets of conversation from the audience, laughter mingling with the low hum of anticipation. Each sound felt like a wave crashing against her, pulling her under. The dancers who had performed before her were family friends she had shared dreams and fears with, yet they felt like strangers now, their smiles a stark reminder of her own self-doubt. Time slipped away, each second stretching interminably. She shifted on her feet, feeling the weight of expectations resting on her shoulders. The swell of applause still echoed in her ears, but it was quickly drowned out by the repeat of her own inner dialogue. What if I wasn't good enough? Clara, you were magnificent. A voice yanked her from her spiraling thoughts. It was Claire, the studio owner and her mentor, standing nearby. Claire's warm smile broke through Clara's anxiety. When you danced, you didn't just move. You told a story. I hope they thought so, Clara replied, an edge of vulnerability in her voice. Of course they did. You delivered something special tonight, Claire said, her words flooding Clara with a blend of reassurance and doubt. Every compliment seemed laced with hope but also pressure. As the announcer stepped up to the mic, the spotlight shifted away from Clara. She stood frozen in place, a puppet without a string as he droned on about the event. The ache of competition lodged deep in her chest, a reminder of the stakes she felt when she danced. This was about acceptance, about finding her place in a world that sometimes felt so exclusive. Now, for the moment we've all been waiting for. The announcer's enthusiastic voice broke into cheers from the audience. Clara could feel the collective breath being held, a shared moment of suspense. A new wave of anxiety washed over her. She wanted desperately to hear her name called, to step forward into the light again, but what if she was met with silence? When I call your name, the announcer continued, the top 3 dancers will receive the prestigious opportunity to perform in the summer showcase, as well as a scholarship tied to our studio. Clara's heart raced. Would that unlock the doors she had been dreaming of? Or was it just another illusion? And the third-place winner is he paused, the anticipation palpable. Clara felt her heartbeat quicken even more, matching the rhythm of the racing thoughts in her mind. Jennifer Blake. The crowd erupted. Clara watched as Jennifer stepped forward, pride and relief in her eyes. Second place. The announcer's voice faded into muffled noise as Clara blinked, trying to process. She had to be ready for anything. It was necessary to steel herself against whatever came next, triumph or defeat. And the winner, Clara Jensen. In that moment, the world exploded into color. Clara felt her knees weaken, tears of joy blurring her vision. She stepped forward into the light, not just to accept a trophy, but to embrace a moment that could reshape her life, yet, as the applause thundered louder, she sensed a subtle shift in the atmosphere. Many eyes glistened with envy. A few turned away, expressions of disbelief etched on their faces. The exhilaration of victory tinged with the bitterness of comparison clawed at the edges of her joy. As she raised her trophy, a swirl of emotion filled her. Would this be a launchpad or the start of new challenges? The warmth from the audience was comforting but heavy, and the stakes were inescapable. She had to prove that this was more than luck. When she left the stage, she spotted Harold watching intently. He approached, a mix of pride and concern shadowing his brow. He knew her struggles, he understood the weight of this win. "Clara, what's next for you?" he asked, his voice steady yet probing. She looked back at the crowd, then back at him, her heart pounding with possibilities and uncertainties. "I don't know," she admitted. The reality was, the recognition felt both like a gift and a challenge. But what if this wasn't just the beginning of her journey? What if the real test lay ahead? She took a deep breath, ready to confront what came next, head held high, but questions gnawing away at her resolve. What awaited Clara beyond this moment of conquest? Would she find the strength to navigate the tumultuous waters of success, or would the journey unveil deeper insecurities she had yet to face? Clara stepped off the stage, her heart still racing from the thrill of winning. The applause reverberated in her ears, a bittersweet symphony that seemed to grow quieter as she made her way into the hallway, away from the bright lights and the watchful eyes of the audience. "Clara!" A voice called out, and she turned to see Jennifer rushing toward her, a bright smile plastered on her face. Clara felt a twinge of discomfort. Could she truly be happy for someone who had just lost to her? "Congratulations!" Jennifer exclaimed, pulling her into a tight hug. "You deserve this. Your performance was breathtaking." "Thanks, Jen." Clara managed a smile, but it felt heavy. She could sense the bittersweet undertone in that compliment, how it hung in the air between them like a curtain, separating winners from losers. Before the conversation could drift to more awkward territories, Clara excused herself, needing a moment to breathe. She slipped into a less crowded area, where the noise dimmed, and she could hear her own thoughts again. But as she stood there, trophy clutched in her hand, the feeling of lonely triumph washed over her. "Clara!" A familiar voice broke her reverie. It was Claire, her mentor, beaming with pride. "You're amazing. I knew you had it in you." "Thanks, Claire." It was overwhelming, Clara confessed, her voice almost cracking under the weight of her emotion. "But there's this pressure now. Expectations. I feel like I need to do even better." Claire nodded, understanding the concern etched on Clara's face. "That's normal. But remember, this win is yours. Own it. Don't let fear rob you of the joy you deserve." Clara took a deep breath. The encouragement felt good, but doubt still lingered in her mind, like a shadow that wouldn't leave. "I just hope I can keep up." "There's no need to compare yourself with others," Claire reassured her. "This journey is about you. Focus on your growth, and the rest will follow." Clara gazed at her trophy, the shiny surface reflecting not just victory but all her hard work, sleepless nights, and the relentless dedication she had poured into her art. Maybe Claire was right that as they chatted, she felt the weight of the evening's events lifting just a little. A renewed sense of determination sparked within her. After the ceremony, Clara found herself surrounded by family and friends who congratulated her endlessly, their faces glowing with pride, yet she couldn't shake off that gnawing feeling. The win had opened doors, yes, but it had also raised the stakes. Would friends turn into rivals? Would she lose herself in the chase of success? Later that night, as she lay in bed, the trophy rested on her nightstand, a constant reminder of the victory that felt more like a new beginning wrapped in uncertainty. Her phone buzzed, and she picked it up to see a message from Harold. "Hey, let us celebrate tomorrow. We should talk about what's next for you." Clara smiled, feeling a flutter of excitement at the thought of her friend's unwavering support. She texted back, "I'd love that. See you." Sleep didn't come easy. Instead, her mind raced. What would tomorrow hold? Would she take leaps into new challenges or fall back into the comfort of what she knew? As dawn broke, Clara felt the weight of her dreams pressing against her chest once more. Could she transform this victory into her own version of success? Would she take the leap? The questions hovered heavily, singing a song of anticipation. With smiles and hopes mounting, she opened the door to a new day, one filled with both promise and daunting uncertainty. Would she muster the courage to embrace the unknown, or would fear decide her fate? Clara's day began with a hint of sunshine streaming through her window. It felt warm, almost like a gentle nudge telling her that today was the day to step out of her shell. She took a deep breath, letting the light fill her with a mix of nervousness and excitement. After a quick shower, Clara put on her favorite outfit, a bold red top that mirrored her fiery determination and well-fitted jeans that made her feel confident. Her reflection smiled back at her, and for a fleeting moment, she forgot about the pressure waiting outside. She grabbed her trophy, its weight now a little less daunting, and headed out. Harold was already at the cafe when she arrived, animatedly waving from a corner table. His enthusiasm was infectious, and Clara felt her worries begin to melt away as she joined him. "You look fantastic," he said, his eyes sparkling with genuine admiration. "That's the Clara I know. Ready to take on the world?" She chuckled, her heart warming at his encouragement. "I don't know about that, but I'm trying. What do you think I should focus on next?" Harold leaned forward, as if sharing a secret. "You have a solid foundation with your win. Use this opportunity to explore different styles. Maybe experiment with choreography. It could open up new paths for you." The thought sent a surge of excitement through her. What if she stepped outside her comfort zone? What if this victory propelled her into the unknown, and instead of being afraid, she embraced it? "I'd love that," Clara said, her voice ringing with eagerness. Ideas flickered in her mind like fireworks, different genres, collaborations, maybe even a dance workshop. As they talked, the coffee flowed, and so did their laughter, each moment peeling away layers of her doubt. But, she paused, looking at Harold with a hint of hesitation. What if it doesn't go as planned? What if I fail to live up to the expectations everyone has? Harold reached across the table, his hand covering hers. "Failure isn't the enemy, Clara. It's part of the journey. You learn, you grow. And you have people who believe in you. Don't ever forget that." His words hung in the air, heavy with sincerity. Clara felt the weight of them settle in her chest. It was comforting but also ignited a flame of determination that she hadn't felt before. By the end of their meeting, Clara had mapped out a plan. She'd dedicate time every week to explore new dance styles. The thrill of trying something new filled her, washing away the remnants of confusion and fear. She would seek out opportunities and allow herself to evolve, transitioning from merely being a winner to a versatile artist. As she walked home, her heart raced with every step. She could almost feel the ground beneath her shifting, welcoming her to a new phase. But then, her phone buzzed, an amber flash of doubt creeping back in. It was a message from Jennifer. "Hey, can we talk? I need to address some things about the competition." Clara's heart sank a bit. She hadn't expected this. What could Jennifer possibly want to discuss? Did it concern the competition's outcome or their friendship? As she stared at the screen, uncertainty clawing at her stomach, she realized she was at a crossroads again, one where she had to choose whether to retreat into her worries or face this head-on. Swallowing hard, she typed back, "Sure. What's up?" The moment held a promise of clarity or chaos. What would it reveal? Would she be ready to navigate through it all? Clara took a deep breath, knowing that whether this would build her or break her depended on how she decided to approach it. What storm awaited her in that conversation with Jennifer? Clara's fingers trembled slightly as she read and reread her message to Jennifer. The dots began to dance across the screen as she waited for a reply. What could be so important that Jennifer needed to talk immediately? The anxiety twisted in her stomach like a coiling snake, threatening to spoil the thrill of her newfound ambition. She walked into her apartment, the familiar four walls somehow feeling like a cage now. On the wall, her trophy gleamed, calling her back to that exhilarating moment of victory, but Jennifer's message loomed large, casting a long shadow over her success. Clara sank onto her couch, running a hand through her hair absent-mindedly. She kicked off her shoes, attempting to ground herself in some reality where she didn't feel this pressure building in her chest. As minutes rolled by, silence filled the room, then finally, her phone buzzed. It was Jennifer. "Can you meet up at the park? I think we need to chat in person." The knot tightened with each passing second. Clara's thoughts spiraled. What if Jennifer was upset about not winning? What if she blamed Clara, or worse, what if she was struggling to accept Clara's success? Could their friendship survive such a conversation? Against her better judgment, Clara put on a light jacket and headed outside. The sun was bright, but it did little to warm her heart. The park was quiet, the only sounds were the rustle of leaves and the laughter of children playing. Clara spotted Jennifer sitting on a bench, her gaze fixed on the ground. "Hey," Clara said, hesitantly taking a seat beside her. "Hey," Jennifer replied, her voice barely audible. There was a storm brewing in her eyes. Clara's heart raced. She wanted to reach out, to reassure her, but the tension between them paralyzed her. "So, what is going on?" Jennifer took a deep breath, searching for words. I wanted to talk about the competition. Everyone seemed thrilled for you, but I didn't have that feeling. I didn't expect to feel this way." Clara's breath caught in her throat. "You mean, you're upset that I won?" The revelation hit her like a cold wave. Clara felt a rush of emotions: shock, sadness, and a desperate need to bridge the gap that was forming between them. "No!" Jennifer exclaimed, her eyes now shining with unshed tears. "It's not that. You deserved it. You've worked so hard. I just thought I always thought we'd be competing side by side. And now I feel like I'm nowhere near that level." Before Clara could respond, the words spilled from Jennifer's lips, carrying years of unspoken fears about inadequacy and being overshadowed. She could hear it all: the longing for validation and the fear of being left behind. Clara felt her own heart ache. "You don't realize how much you mean to me. This win doesn't change our friendship. But I want us to grow together, not apart. Let us explore new styles, take classes together, push each other. There's room for both of us to shine." Jennifer's expression shifted. The weight didn't evaporate, but it lightened, if only a little. "You really think that?" she whispered, vulnerability wrapped around her words like a fragile thread. Clara nodded, feeling a flicker of hope between them. "Definitely. We can figure this out together." At that moment, she understood how deeply intertwined their journeys were, like threads in a tapestry, each one adding value to the other. As they talked, both began to see the potential of their friendship as a path toward new beginnings rather than a competition, but just as the tension seemed to dissipate, a shadow passed through the park, and Clara caught sight of someone watching them from a distance, a figure that made her stomach churn with a mix of recognition and dread. "Who is that?" Clara whispered, her voice dropping as she pointed discreetly. Jennifer turned to follow her gaze, the sudden shift in atmosphere palpable. "Is that?" The question hung in the air, and the answer loomed closer, bringing with it a sense of foreboding, something neither of them was ready to face. Clara's heart raced as she turned to see Harold standing just a few yards away, hands in pockets and expression unreadable. The moment felt suspended in time, a mix of confusion and dread swirling in her gut. "What is he doing here?" Clara murmured. Jennifer's gaze was locked on Harold, and Clara could see the unease ripple through her. "Is this about the competition?" Clara wondered aloud, mind racing. Maybe he had come to address their conversation. Maybe he had something to say to both of them. Or perhaps he was there to reinforce the rift she felt like it could break her friendship with Jennifer. "Hey, you two," Harold called out, his tone light but his eyes sharp, focused on Clara. His presence suddenly felt imposing, weighing down the air between them. "I didn't mean to interrupt." "Just talking," Clara responded lightly, though her head was spinning with questions. She wondered if he could sense the tension hanging heavy above them, the unspoken fears they had both shared moments before. "Good to see you both," he smiled but did not step any closer. The distance felt like a chasm. As silence stretched, Clara felt an uncharacteristic surge of defiance. This wasn't just about her. This was about her dreams and her ability to reclaim her narrative. "Actually, we were just talking about how to keep pursuing our dreams together," Clara said. She glanced at Jennifer, daring her to nod in agreement. Jennifer met her gaze, a glimmer of empowerment brightening her expression. "Yeah, we want to grow, not compete," she added with newfound assurance, the softness in her voice transformed into conviction. She could feel Harold's eyes flick back to her, assessing. "That sounds like a strong plan," he said, a hint of surprise breaking through. Clara felt a small wave of triumph wash over her. She could stand her ground. "And it doesn't hurt to have a little friendly competition," she remarked with a playful smile, her nerves calming like ripples on water. Harold chuckled, ease returning to his demeanor. "Maybe I should host some dance workshops," he replied, a playful spark igniting in his eyes. "Drawing out all that hidden talent." Clara couldn't help but feel lighter. "Count us in." She grinned, her pulse steadying. By taking this little risk and expressing their ambitions, a bridge was being built, not just between her and Jennifer but between them all. The three exchanged ideas about dance styles, routines, community outreach, and how they could blend their talents. The tension from before began to dissolve, replaced with a shared excitement for what lay ahead. In that moment, amidst laughter and planning, they became a team. As they prepared to leave, Harold clapped both Clara and Jennifer on the shoulders. "I'm excited to see what you both create. We'll make something truly special." Clara felt a sense of resolve settling in her heart. This triumph wasn't about winning alone, it was about opening doors for herself and others, weaving connections and lifting those around her higher. "Let us do this," Clara declared, empowered by the unity forged in that park. She turned to Jennifer, and their fingers brushed playfully as they walked together, a symbolic reminder that sisterhood is not about competition but collaboration. Days turned into weeks filled with practice, laughter, and shared vulnerability. Clara grew as a dancer, gaining confidence, forging strong connections with each workshop and rehearsal. She no longer felt the weight of judgment. Then, the day of the charity event arrived. Clara stood backstage, bathed in anticipation. She saw her children watching, cheering for her. She was ready. This performance wasn't just about her, it was about her transformation, her resilience. She thought of the journey that had brought her here, the love, the struggles, the laughter. As she stepped onto the stage, the lights ignited her spirit just as they had before, but this time she didn't stand alone. She was not just Clara the maid, or the winner from the competition, she was Clara the artist, the mother, the one filled with dreams who danced for all who had ever felt unseen. The music surged through the space, entwining with the love and support woven into every note by her children, her friends, and her community. Clara danced, her heart exposed and alive, pouring herself into the rhythm. Every turn and leap was a declaration, she belonged here, and she would never dim her light again. When the performance concluded, the audience roared in applause. Clara stood, breathless and beaming brightly. Here with her were glimpses of the future, a future where dreams flourished, where her children watched her shine, understanding that obstacles could only fuel their journey triumphantly. As she left the stage, her heart soared, bright as the applause ringing in her ears. She had danced not just for herself, but for every encounter that had shaped her, every hope, every dream. And, dear friends, if you felt a spark from Clara's journey, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Real fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.